Imagine a workplace where every employee feels valued, engaged, and inspired. Welcome to Incredible Workplaces, where exceptional work cultures are recognized and celebrated. Incredible Workplaces is dedicated to evaluating and certifying organizations that prioritize employee well-being, engagement, and inclusivity. Our assessments are grounded in the PULSE framework, promoting values and beliefs, unified communication, leadership development, supportive environment, and environment for innovation and adaptability. We offer 2 certification levels: Gold, focusing on self-evaluation, and Platinum, which includes comprehensive employee feedback for a holistic view of your workplace culture. Achieving certification enhances your employer brand, attracts top talent, and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. Beyond certification, we provide access to exclusive events, best practices, and a community committed to workplace excellence. Our certification programs are competitively priced to provide value for organizations of all sizes. Join the ranks of organizations committed to excellence. Visit incredibleworkplaces.com to start your certification journey today.
Super excited that we are Incredible Workplaces certified.
We are feeling pride to be certified as Incredible Workplace Organization.
We are very happy to be certified from Incredible Workplace.
Feeling proud to be recognized as Incredible Workplace Certified Organization.
Let's create workplaces incredible with Incredible Workplaces. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 13th of the Culture Connect, a virtual interaction that we do with the global leaders from all over the world. And today we have Dan with us, who is the associate professor in a university called Babes Bolyai. And this university is in Romania, in the city of Cluj-Napoca. And we are going to have a conversation around how cultures affect organizations' agility. So first of all, let me welcome Dan with us on the show. So welcome, Dan.
Hello. Hi, Govind. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I would like to tell the audience that Dan, in the past, experience has been the global L&D leaders for multiple IT companies. But then, rather than I speaking about you, why don't you tell our audience about your journey before we jump into the conversation?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mircea Suciu. I'm a Vice Dean and Associate Professor at the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science in Babes Bolyai University. And as you said, it is in Romania, in a very nice city, Cluj-Napoca. And at the university, I teach both technical courses like databases and database management systems, and courses on agile software development and software project management. And these last 2, I think, are more related with our subject today. And in these agile-related courses, I focus not only on frameworks and practices, but also on how leadership and, of course, organizational culture shape the success of the project. Mm-hmm. But beyond academia, I have worked in the software industry, both in product companies and in outsourcing companies, which usually operate with very different ways of working and have different organizational cultures, isn't it? I started as a software developer and later held leadership roles such as engineering manager, director of engineering, global L&D director, as you said. So I experienced firsthand how teams evolve and mostly how they evolve while facing different expectations, processes, and business models. I have also a funny story because I used to say that I became a project manager in a Thursday. Why? Because it was 1st of June, if I remember well. We had a new employee, a new colleague in our team, and I introduced myself and I said, my name is Dan Suciu. I'm a developer. I'm a software developer. And in that very moment, in my mind, that was something like, well, wait a minute. I didn't write a line of code for more than 5 or 6 days. So that means that I'm not a software developer anymore. And I try to remember what I did. And I spent a lot of time in a lot of meetings, talking with customers about specifications, uh, doing some plans with my team, mentoring the others. So I said, so I'm not a software developer anymore. I'm more a project manager. But that was a fade out, fade in somehow process. And I just realized at that very moment. And I asked myself if I love doing this, and I said yes. And I started to go to some workshops, to read some books about project management and about leadership. And that was the transition from being a software developer to these positions I've mentioned. And another very small thing, I'm also the co-host of a podcast. It is called Agile Retrospective Podcast. It is in Romanian. And in that podcast, in each episode, we discuss controversial topics about agility. But we also hosted some English episodes with well-known experts like Klaus Leopold and Anton Skorniakov. So these are, in short, a few things about myself and about my journey.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And looking forward to, I didn't know that you had a podcast too. So looking forward to watch some of the episodes, especially in the English version of that. I'm yet to learn Romanian.
We have to add some English subtitles. That could be nice.
All right. So as we are going to talk about culture and how it impacts the agility of an organization, and you just said that you've been doing multiple podcasts on that. So I'm assuming that, and there are some of the controversial topics. I'm assuming that we're going to have those kind of candid conversations with you, and because our audience live love the stories that they hear from the global leaders, and if there is a controversy, why not? Let's have some controversial content too as well today. And then I know that as we are talking about organization culture, one of the big things that I always believe that the organization culture is the leadership of the organization, right? So my question, the first question to you is that how the leadership of an organization impacts the agility and adaptability of its team is my question to you. And before you answer, I want to tell my audience that if they have any question in their mind for Dan, please feel free to ask those questions on the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to take those questions if time permits, and if your question is close and relevant to what we are discussing today. So over to you, Dan.
Of course, yeah. Of course, the leadership style is one of the strongest factors that shape agility. And here I have to mention that the command and control style usually creates fear and delays. And that's because people wait for approval instead of acting, and teams become focused on following orders, not on solving problems. And this kills adaptability. So that's an important thing to mention. In contrast, we have servant leadership. And this servant leadership creates the right conditions for agility, because servant leaders focus on giving clarity of purpose, removing obstacles, and supporting the team's growth. And they don't ask, why did you fail? But instead, they ask, how can I help? I don't know if you are familiar with this show. During the COVID time, I had this opportunity to watch a series which is called New Amsterdam. It is about a public hospital in New York, and the main character in this series is a doctor. He's the executive director of that hospital, and his name is, I think, Max Goodwin. Max Goodwin. And he was built, this character was built or was described as a servant leader. And every single episode, he asks this question, how can I help, at least 3 times per episode. Because that simple question captures the mindset of enabling rather than controlling. And even if you didn't see the show, I really recommend you to watch at least the first 2 episodes, just to understand better how such a servant leader should behave. Now, another important point, besides asking this question, is consistency. So that a leader should be consistent, because teams watch what leaders reward and what they tolerate. And if leaders punish mistakes, people will hide the problems. So if leaders treat mistakes as learning opportunities, on the other hand, people will experiment and they will improve. And in this way, leadership doesn't just set goals; it shapes the whole cultural environment. Now, another thing related to leadership is that the style of the leadership decides how much trust exists in the system. And agility needs trust. Needs trust between managers and teams, between teams themselves, between people inside the team. And when trust is present, communication flows faster. Also, collaboration is stronger. Also, decision moves quickly. And all these things are very important for agility. And when trust is missing, even the best agile framework will fail. Leadership makes agility possible not by telling teams what to do, but by giving them the confidence, the direction, and by giving them the space to adapt if you want.
Yeah, and that's great, Dan. And I think I'm also of opinion that leadership style varies from individual to individual, and there are many successful leaders of all the styles that we all know of, right? And as you're speaking about a servant leadership, where a leader normally asks, "How can I help?" Let me ask you: whenever we talk about the servant leadership, one of the questions that comes to us is that, what about leader asking, "How can I help?" And the team member, a particular team member, is not even asking what help they need, but not even doing the work. And then it looks like the leader is very lenient, and he uh, doesn't have the power to take tough decisions on those team members. What will be your opinion on such leadership style where employees are not, or team members are not performing, but taking the leverage of the servant leadership of the leader?
Yeah. Now, here I want to say something. A very good leader has to adapt his leadership style. So, what I mentioned before was that this servant leadership style is very useful for an agility context, for an agile context. It improves the level of agility. But on the other hand, we work day by day with different kinds of people. And they have different goals, different needs, different ways to see things. They have different expectations. So a very good leader has to adapt his or her leadership style based on the needs and the goals of those people. So there is this theory about situational leadership. When a good leader could move or make this transition very, very naturally between the 4 main leadership styles. Now, the problem is, and this is a huge problem, is that more than 50% of the leaders today use this style, my way or highway. So they have a preferred leadership style and they use it no matter what. Why? Because that leadership style worked in the past with many employees. And if this leadership style doesn't work right now with another employee, it's that employee's problem, not my problem. Because I know that my leadership style works, and this is so I have to change. So if servant leadership doesn't work with some team members, some people from my team, I have to change my style. I have to change my way of working, and this is very difficult. You have to. It's kind of, maybe it doesn't sound so well, but it's like fake it till you make it. So try to adopt another leadership style, even if it is not natural for you, but try to do it again and again and again till you are able to make the transition between two styles, and after that between three styles. Because right now it's also based on that statistics I told you. Only 1% of the leaders today have this ability to make the transition naturally between all four leadership styles. So only 1%. Just a few, and it's this of course affects the organizations, affects the employees, affects the culture, and so on. So we have not stick to one style. We have to adapt ourselves as leaders, and this is not this is not easy. I remember this is another funny story. One of a friend of mine is Bogdan. I think you would know him, Bogdan Mureșan. He is also the other co-host of that podcast.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yes, Agile
I have 2
Perspective
reasons
podcast.
to watch the podcast.
Yeah. So he attended a soft skills training, and I think it was about persuasion, something like this. And in one day, he had a fight with his wife. They had something to tell to each other. And at the very moment, in one moment, he said something, and after that, his wife stopped, looked at him, and she said, "Now, what you do is you try to use what you heard at that training with me." It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So don't do it. So it was very clear that that thing didn't come naturally to him, but he tried to do what he learned in that. So even when we
Maybe the lesson then is don't bring your wife to the same training that you are in.
Yeah, that could be something. But another thing, yet try at home with your relatives doing this, and you will perform more naturally in your company when you have to do this with the other people, because it's a learning process, and this learning process takes time.
Yeah, and then I'm so glad that I asked this question to you. Why? Because I believe that many leaders, those even the organizations that are Incredible Workplace certified at this point in time, and when I talk to the leaders there, and one of the question comes is that which style is a good style? And maybe what you're saying is that maybe it depends upon what kind of situation you are, what kind of person you are dealing with. Maybe you need to transition from one style to another style. And I'm really surprised to know that only 1% people can switch from one to another, or four of them without any challenges. So that's really good to know. But I think I also agree that even if it is not your natural style, right, you can learn that, do it again and again. And maybe when you're practicing again and again, it sometimes comes to you because you're conscious about leveraging it. And you know what, as a leader, well, you will have team members that will be different, right? Everybody will be different. You can't just use your own one style and try to fix it on everybody.
And usually when they don't perform well, it's your problem as a leader, not their problem. Usually.
Why you say so? Why you say so?
I was not able to change my leadership style and to persuade and to involve that person more. Of course, there are a couple of instances when there is the wrong person in the wrong place. And this happens. So the organizational culture, maybe the context, the project, the client, they don't fit the employee needs. So in that moment, it's better to, I don't know, to let him or let her go, or to move that person in another team, in another department, and you will have this surprise that they will start performing very, very, very well. And it was. There is a lack of connection sometimes between the organizational culture and the needs and the expectations of that employee. But these are just a few cases. But most of the time, because I remember in my past, I remember that I used to say for about some of my colleagues, but it happened 15 or 20 years ago. I said he or she is incompetent. And now I know that I was wrong at that time. They were not incompetent. They were not able to achieve or to reach their highest level of performance because of the context. That was not their fault. It was mostly my fault as a leader. But I had to become more mature to realize that.
Well, and I'm sure many managers and leaders who are right now listening to you must be thinking that, is it that everything that happening in their team, if they are not performing, is it my fault? And if it is so, what can I do?
It's a very good question to ask yourself as a leader, always.
Yeah, because most of the time we believe that it is our team member who are not able to perform. But you know what, Dan? I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I believe that I have seen many team members, irrespective of the fact that you try to change your style and do whatever best you can, they kind of they're not ready to change themselves as well. And it is such a fast-moving world that you might not have that much of luxury to spend and give that much of time to make sure that you change your style and the person changes the style. So I think that's where I believe that many managers nowadays are basically struggling with that. But so good one, because I always struggle with this one, and I'm sure many of our team members are struggling with this one. We have a question from Meng. Meng is a good friend of mine, so he always joins our LinkedIn Live, and this is the question that he has for you, Dan. I hope that he'll be nice with you. The question is, during rapidly changing time and low revenue, which is right now the case, right? Such a big change is happening. Every company is struggling with low revenue, and there's a pressure on organizations on making more profit and reducing the cost. His question is, to what extent do employees feel trusted and empowered to make decisions when faced with ambiguous or rapidly changing situation? And what support system should be in place to help team act independent during uncertainty? So basically a question around changing times, situations, what can we do to support them? What do you think?
Yeah, so in this, of course, in these rapidly changing times, you need to be very, very agile. And so there is a very strong connection between agility, being agile. But again, I have to emphasize this, to say this, not chaotic, but agile. So to not be too rigid, to become more agile, but not chaotic. Okay, so if leadership defines the tone, that the culture is the environment where agility either grows or dies, isn't it? So as I said, I mentioned servant leadership. Servant leaders can create trust and clarity. But for this to really translate into agility, the organization also needs the right cultural traits. And very important traits here are trust, openness, collaboration, and learning mindset. I already mentioned trust because trust is the foundation. When people trust their leaders and each other, they speak up, they take initiative, they adapt faster, and also openness means issues can be raised without fear. It's another very important thing. Uh, Collaboration, and I think it's obvious why collaboration is important. It breaks down silos, helps people solve problems together, and they are more open again to talk to each other. And this learning mindset that treats mistakes as lessons, not as failures, makes the experimentation possible, because we have to do a lot of experiments, to do a lot of things. And these traits connect directly to leadership style. When leaders act consistently, so they have to be consistent, that's very important. When they reward learning, and if they support rather than control, they strengthen trust, they strengthen openness, they strengthen collaboration. And in the end, leadership and culture are two sides of the same coin, isn't it? And leadership sets the example, and the culture amplifies that example.
Yeah, and I also believe that trust is the foundation, because if there's a trust between the leader and the team members, I think they'll you kind of you did the 50% of the job, right? Trust, everything will fall in place as your leadership style going forward. So hope, Mank, you got the answer of your question. We have a couple of more questions, but before I go to those, let me ask you. So basically, you mentioned that the culture and the leadership are basically two sides of the coin, which I agree, because I believe that majority of the time, leaders are those who are basically driving the culture of the organization, and they are the one who sets the tone for it, right? In your view, what specific cultural traits, whether it is openness, collaboration, or risk taking, most strongly predict high organization agility? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I also I already mentioned them. I will repeat them again. So the first, as I said, is trust, openness, collaboration, and learning mindset. This learning mindset is very important here. And let me. I would like to give you an example. I don't know if you heard about or the ones who attend this show learned about Choluteca Bridge. What is Choluteca, or the story of Choluteca Bridge?
Or is it the bridge that formed with, like, for a river,
Yeah.
and the river is the direction? Is that what the same or different?
Yes. Is that story, and it's a very good story. So actually, Choluteca is a river in Honduras, in the south of Honduras, and they had a lot of problems with the weather there. They have a very difficult weather, mainly during summers, and they had to rebuild again and again the same bridge because that bridge that was built over the Choluteca was destroyed by those hurricanes and storms. And the Honduras government, knowing that the bridge was likely to face these extreme weather conditions, they hired some of the best architectural minds in the world. I think they hired somebody from it was a Japanese company who eventually built a bridge that could resist any hurricane. It was a state of the art at the time, and was built to survive the high winds, the high hurricanes that plagued that region. But so it took 1 year and a half, and 6 months after they finished the bridge, it was in 1998. Honduras was hit by Hurricane Mitch, and this hurricane, it was a Category 5 storm that devastated the region. Roads were wiped out. There was considerable damage to buildings and so on. It was a tragedy, a real tragedy. However, Choluteca Bridge stood its ground, isn't it? And survived in near perfect condition. So it was an amazing architectural achievement, or at least it should have been, because as you said, even though the bridge stood its ground, the problem was that the storm caused the river to carve a completely new path, which no longer ran under the bridge. So yeah, the Choluteca Bridge no longer stood over the river, becoming useless. We always talk about the MVP, 20% of the functionalities that bring 80% of the value. Which are the 20% of the functionalities of a bridge that bring 80% of the value? Actually, to go over a river, that was not the case, so it became useless. Now, it's quite remarkable, isn't it, how quickly things can change. And this situation demonstrates how even the simplest of assumptions about the state of the world, like the location of a river, may prove to be wrong, may prove to be incorrect. And what this history teaches us that we should not, how to say it, I think it's also a title of a book coming from the CEO of Waze. We should not fall in love with our solutions, but with the problem. Falling in love with the problem is what we need to do. Falling in love with the problem requires us to ask why it still exists and what it hasn't been solved yet, isn't it? It requires us to wonder about why things that look like solutions aren't. It requires us to explore and look for root causes, to welcome surprises. And this is an important sign of agility, falling in love with the problem. But what I see day by day working with my students and what I saw when I used to work with those IT companies, that usually the software developers, but not only them, they fell in love with the solutions. Not with the solution, with their own solution. They are so attached to their own solution because it's like their kid, isn't it? They spend a lot of effort, they spend motivation, they try to do it as good as possible, and after that, somebody else comes and say, the problem changed. And the funny thing, that's the funny thing, because I saw many of my colleagues trying to convince the customer that that's not their problem. You don't need that. Our solution is very good. So they cannot adapt. And the main reason is that one, because they fell in love with their solution, not with the problem. When it's a new problem, let's try to solve it.
Totally agree with you. And there is a question in the same that when we are trying to build an organization that is agile, right? What are some red flags that show an organization culture is resisting agility? And I love this question because as you must be working or trying to convert organizations to become an agile organization, I'm sure there are some early signs that you might have. What do you think, Dan?
It's very difficult because, in project management, most of the time the answer to this kind of questions is it depends. It always depends. There are so many factors. There are so many things that could affect that. And I will give you another example that comes into my mind right now, when it is not obvious that there is a lack of agility. So we have to be very, 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 very careful, because if we use some metrics, for instance, metrics can mislead us if we treat them as the full truth. So I cannot give you best practices, because you cannot just take that best practice and use it in your organization. That's always different. And let me give you this example. So let's take Scrum. It's one of the most popular agile frameworks. For those who don't know, in Scrum, teams work in fixed length iterations, usually 2 weeks, and they plan at the start what they believe they can deliver at the end of of each iteration. Now, imagine 2 extreme cases, 2 complete different cases, but they are extreme cases just because for the sake of our discussion. So in the first case, one team delivers only half of what it promised every time, every iteration. Now, that's clear for anybody. don't need to be a very good leader to understand that you have a problem with this team. It's clear that this team has a problem. Maybe it's about responsibility, maybe it's about maturity, maybe it's about motivation, or maybe it's a combination between them. But I know that I have a problem in that team. And my responsibility as a leader is to identify that problem and to solve it. I don't know which is the problem. As I know, it depends. But it's clear that we cannot say that this team is agile. Why? Because repeating the same failure shows a lack of agility. Agility means learning and improving, not repeating the same mistake. I've already I heard so many times, but being agile means embracing failure. Yes, but not the same failure, not the same wrong thing. So you have to learn from that thing and to make another mistake, a different mistake. Okay, so that was the first example, the first extreme example. Now, on the other hand, imagine a team that always delivers exactly what it promised, every single time, every single iteration. Now, many would say this is the ideal team. I want to be the manager or the leader of such a team. But in fact, this can be a sign of stagnation. A team that always plays safe, never stretches itself, never experiments. They may look professional, but they are not truly agile, because real agility means growth, ups and downs, trying new things, sometimes succeeding and sometimes failing. So yes, metrics and best practices are helpful, but we should not read them in isolation. If the metric we use is only how much the team delivered compared with what they promised, then in the second case, we might wrongly conclude that the team is high performing, but in reality, they are just playing safe. They are not truly being agile. So the real measure of an agile culture is whether people are learning, whether people are adapting and improving, not just whether the numbers look perfect. So it's very, if you want, for instance, again, if talking about red flags, isn't it? For me, if I have, I'm the Scrum Master or I'm the manager of a Scrum team, and after 3 iterations, after 3 retrospective meetings, there is no idea for improvement, this is a red flag. If nobody thinks that they can improve something in 3 consecutive iterations, this is a red flag that the team is not agile. Maybe they think about themselves, we are so good, we don't have to change anything. The client is happy. There is a saying in Romania, I don't know if there is in other culture, which says, the winning team doesn't change. We use it in soccer, in football. The winning team doesn't change. So if you won in the previous game, don't change the team. Use the same players. And I hate this thing. Why? Because every time when you change something in your organization, in your department, in your team, the things will go, will slow down. You will have a decrease of performance for a short period of time. Why? Because you change something. Those from that team, from that department, from that organization, they are not familiar with that new thing. So they have to try it again and again and to get familiar and to understand it. And after that, the performance will raise. If you change something when a team will start losing games, they will go even worse. And I have to change something when it seems that I should not change anything. So that's another sign. I have to experiment every time, to try new things. Because when everything goes well, I have the luxury to fail. At that time, I have the luxury to fail. When everything goes wrong, or not goes wrong, but we see a decrease of performance, if I change something at that very moment, the performance will be even lower. So
Wow.
That's what
So
we are
there
not
are
doing.
red flags actually. It's not that there are not. You just have to you just have to put some finger on that. And I agree with you. It might not be the same red flags in every organization because it differs, right? From team to team, from organization to organization. Dan, we are flooding with the questions right now, as you can see on the right hand side, but we
Yeah.
don't have the luxury to take all of them. We have only 5 minutes left, and I wanted to ask one question because, and if we have time more, then I'll take some of them from the audience question. But I wanted to ask you one question from my perspective: is that we talk about agility? Is there a way that we can measure organizations on their agility, whether the culture is so that it enables agility or not? Is there a measurement out there, or it is also agile? It is.
No, of course that there are some self-assessments you can do. Project Management Institute (PMI) has such a thing. There are other tools you can use to understand your agility level, and it depends on the number of people in your team. It depends on the criticality of the project, and so on. But again, it these are not best practices. You have to ask yourself every time if this fits your organization or not. I can give you just a few. For example, how fast do decisions move from idea to action? How fast are we? And if you think we are fast, look around at your competition. Are they faster? If yes, they are more agile than you. So in this
Makes sense.
case, you can increase your agility level. Or do people share knowledge openly or hide it in silence? How often are initiatives stopped early when they don't add value? Uh, do we have this culture? Because it's very difficult to stop something after you invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, isn't it? So maybe you say, let's continue. It's I had this huge surprise. This is apparatus, but it's a public thing. So in 1918, it was a press conference from Lidl. Lidl, multinational, with stores and so on. And they had in this press conference this news. They said, we decided to stop the implementation of SAP, that huge ERP software. And it was their decision. They decided to start a new application, a new thing from the scratch for their needs. But the surprise was that they did this. They took this decision after they spent already 500 million euros in this implementation. It's very difficult to make such a decision after you spend so much money. Of course, there were some consequences. Maybe some people were fired. I don't know. I don't have any information about that. But when you invested such a lot of money like this for 500 million euros, and this is public available, they decided to stop everything and start from scratch a new tool, a new application. It's very difficult. But this is a very good sign of agility of their organization. So
Wow.
tools like employee surveys or 360-degree feedback or metrics such as time to market, this can give us useful signals, but not only one signal. We have to be aware about all these things.
Well, I love the second one in particular because, especially in this so fast moving world, you take decisions, you move forward. But if you think that is not giving you the results, I think there is no reason of tying up with it. Even you have made investment in terms of dollars or time of your team. I think it's better to take a decision and move forward and do the right thing. So really, really good. I think, Dan, personally, I learned a lot of things in this conversation today because as incredible workplaces, we are also in the phase where we always believe in with new ideas and everything. Like, for example, this LinkedIn Live that we are doing is also came just sitting and having a brainstorming with the team and saying, how do we become a global leader, global thought leader in workplaces? And the idea was, well, why don't you bring global leaders on a video call and just have conversation around it? And look, today we are being 13th episode of that, right? And we are bringing like all sort of leaders that we can definitely bring. And it adds a lot of value to our customers because they wanted to hear a lot of diverse opinion, what's going on around the world on a particular stuff. And I think that's add a lot of value for them.
Of course.
So then I think time flies. I don't know whether you noticed that or not. We are already up the time right now. And the conversation was still cooking up. And I'm really, really excited to what we all discussed. But it's always good to end the conversation where it is still exciting. And I see a lot of questions that are not being answered. I don't know, Dan, whether you will have time or not. If you have, I would request you to go to the LinkedIn Live. That will be available in the recorded version on LinkedIn right now. You're already tagged on it. If you can just find some time, answer the question that we could not take on the live platform, that will be really awesome and appreciated because our audience is looking forward to those answers. So with that said, thank you very much. Anything at the end that you would like to share with our audience?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. I enjoyed a lot the whole conversation. I didn't know what to expect from the beginning, but now a lot of other things that are coming into my mind, and after we end this conversation, I will say, "Whoa, what a shame that you didn't say that and you didn't say the other thing." But yeah, the time flies as you said, and we have to adapt. Looking forward to meeting you in another episode. Why not?
I was about to say that maybe we should have not a one-on-one. Maybe we can invite Bogdan also if he's willing to come.
Yes, of course.
And have a kind of a multi-speaker conversation as opposed to only I and you.
Like a panel.
Like a panel. We can definitely have that one. I'm looking forward to this one as well. But again, thank you very much for finding time for us and joining us from the other part of the world and sharing with our audience all these insights. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dan with us joining from Romania. I worked with Dan and such a fantastic guy. He's been when I worked with him, he was a global L&D leader, and still the same way as he was earlier, very clear to what he has to say. And I'm so glad that we discussed about agility because, as I said, I personally got benefited with his views. I also felt the same as Dan felt that we have a lot of things to be discussed more. So I'm not considering this as the end of the only conversation that we're going to have. Maybe we're going to have more conversation in future. Once again, to our audience, thank you very much for joining us. All those who have shared your questions, I hope Dan will be able to find some time to respond to you guys. Till then, thank you very much. See you in the episode 14th. Next week with another global leaders with us. Till then, goodbye and have a nice